Holman, I think one of the most common complaints from truck owners it's not the get up and go, it's the stopping.
It's the hurry up and wait.
It's the braking. Braking is always a challenge with half-ton, three-quarter, and one-ton trucks. It sucks, especially when you're towing. And we have
overloading.
a solution. Well, if you're overloading, yes.
Overloading, like I am.
Not overlanding, overloading.
I have a
call
braking
it.
problem.
Yes, you do have a braking problem, which could be solved after we get with Wilwood.
All right, so you have Wilwood brakes on your TRX.
Correct.
What is the closest your braking system has saved you from complete demolition of your TRX?
I will say... Oh, I got it. So, you know how we've talked about this on the show before? You know, all the rage is the electric bikes that look like little motocross bikes that every Surons or whatever. There's 25 Chinese brands now. The dudes next to me, cool, like 14-year-olds that live next door to me, they're doing that whole bob and weave thing where they come at you. And this guy had miscalculated. So he's doing a wheelie, comes at me and goes to do the swerve maneuver, and he misjudged. I slammed the brakes. I skin his peg. He doesn't go down. He just like, sorry, Mr. Tillis. I hate being Mr. Tillis because that's my dad. The Wilwoods just came in handy at that moment.
Wilwood's saving one kid at a time on e-bikes.
Yes. And we're talking about Wilwood brakes on this episode, so it's apropos.
All right, well, speaking of brakes, you should brake for your local Nissan dealership because Nissan is the presenting sponsor of the Truck Show podcast. And if you like body and frame vehicles that are durable, dependable, luxurious, awesome, head on down to your local Nissan dealership or head to nissanusa.com where you can build and price the all-new 25 Frontier or the all-new 25 Nissan Armada. And if I had to say which one I'd like, it's the Pro 4Xs. My man Lightning here, probably Platinum Reserve. There's a whole lot to love at your local Nissan dealer.
But one thing nobody likes is high oil temps or high transmission temps. It's no bueno anytime. And the way you can keep those temps down is with Banks' brand new fluid cooling systems. You're like, wait a minute. I know Gale Banks for his tuning, for his engine brakes, exhaust, intakes, etc. What does he know about fluid cooling? Oh, he's perfected fluid cooling through years of military work. If you've seen any of the joint-like tactical vehicles in video, every single one of those has a Banks mid-pan and lower oil pan on them. 100% of all JLTVs. That technology is now available to you in the Cool Runner oil pan and Ram Air transmission pan. Head over to bankspower.com. If you've got a Duramax, there's one waiting for you.
Well, and hopefully you enjoyed last week's episodes about AMSOIL and behind the scenes, and you've probably heard a lot about their oil change kits. So if you're a do-it-yourselfer, there's no better one-stop shopping than AMSOIL.com, where you can get one of their wonderful oil change kits for your vehicle. Simply put in your year, make, and model. Select the kit. The kit comes complete with everything you need to do an oil change, including the AMSOIL of your choice, gloves, a funnel, and even the little window sticker to remind you when your service is due. So head on over to AMSOIL.com and get everything you need in one place for your next oil change.
And another one-stop shop is EGRUSA.com. You're going to find fender flares, window visors, hood guards, body side moldings, cab spoilers, sport bars, under-seat storage, but most importantly, Holman, up to 25% off for the summer sale on the Roll Track tonneau cover. EGRUSA.com. Take advantage of it today.
The Truck Show. We're gonna show you what we know. We're gonna answer what the truck, 'cause truck rhymes with the Truck Show. We have the lifted, we have the lowered, and everything in between. We'll talk about trucks that run on diesel and the ones that run on gasoline. The Truck Show, the Truck Show, the Truck Show. Whoa, whoa.
It's the Truck Show with your hosts, Lightning and Holman.
All right, let's call our man Michael Hamrick over at Wilwood Engineering.
Wait. Is he in trouble?
No, why?
Because he said Michael.
Oh, because like his mom would call him Michael? Michael, what are you doing? Are you talking to those Truck Show podcast guys again?
That's how you should answer the phone when he picks up.
Okay.
If only we knew his middle name.
Let's find out.
What's happening, Jay?
Mr. Michael Hamrick, it's your mother calling. It doesn't. No, it's
What
weird.
was that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Horrible.
Hey, we were trying to figure out, Mike. What's your middle name? Can you tell us?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Vern.
No, it's not. Is it really?
Yep. Michael Vern Hamrick.
Now, the only reason Lightning's asking is because he wants to make it sound like your mom.
Yeah, no, because I said, before we dialed you, I said, let's call him Michael Hamrick. And he's like, is he in trouble? I said, why? And he goes, because you used Michael. And I go, it just sounded funny.
There are two people in my life that call me Michael, and that's my first wife and my mother.
Exactly. Oh, hold on a second. You're in the parts department.
Welcome to the parts department.
Screw, nut, filter, oil, grill, tools, wheels, tires, brakes, lights, gears, belts.
And your wife warns you not to. Don't you spend our money. And then you'll want to come back.
So I feel like we've been with Mike so many times over the years. We're tight enough.
What's wrong with that?
We can
You say it like it's a bad thing.
No, we can call him Michael.
He's like one of our besties. No, you don't call your buddy.
No,
I don't call you Jathan.
My name is not Jathan.
Well, that's why we don't call you that.
It's just funny.
Leave our man Mike alone.
I know. He's the man.
Jaboobly?
He's like the voice, the face of Wilwood Engineering.
Okay.
All right. So the reason that we're talking to Mike,
I've seen him more recently than you have, haven't I?
You have. You were up there working on your Jeep, weren't you not? Or no?
We were prepping for that, and then we went out and had like the world's biggest freaking burritos.
Uh-huh.
So good. And the guy who owns that burrito shop listens to the show. Super rad dude.
That's weird.
I know.
He's got a nice pre-runner, too.
Oh, yeah. He's got a real nice GM pre-runner. So we roll in. The Wilwood guys are like, hey, can you go out to lunch while you're up here? I'm like, well, yeah, because, I'm not going to come all the way up here and not break bread with you guys. So got there lunchtime, went to this place. It's a local shop. Dude is the owner, working the grill, working the register, all this super nice guy. And Mike's like, this is Holman from the Truck Show podcast. He's like, I listen to you guys. I'm like, what? And then he made me a killer burrito. So shout out. What's the name of that restaurant?
Hector's Mexican Food in Camarillo.
There you go.
Nice.
Hector's Mexican Food in Camarillo.
Does he do a California burrito where they put like French fries and stuff in it?
I believe he does.
Oh, wow.
I believe he does.
They actually do.
You got to have a California burrito.
Dude, I'm all about it.
Do they have California burritos in other states?
Yes.
Or what do they call them? California burritos?
California burritos.
They
The only thing I've traveled to a lot of states. The one thing I realized, any place, especially the freaking Midwest, that has California anything in its name,
It's not?
no, it's avocado.
Oh, it's avocado.
That's
Yeah,
what it
yeah,
means.
yeah.
Like wherever you go, if they're like, oh, it's a California whatever,
Yeah.
it's whatever their basic thing is with avocado on it.
So at Del Taco, it's called the Stoner Burrito.
No, it's not.
yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is, but they can't say. So when you order a Stoner Burrito, they know exactly what it is and they make it. It's not on the menu. It's secret. But it's basically a California burrito.
No, they actually have the California burrito that doesn't have that name.
It's a Stoner Burrito.
Okay.
I'm just saying. I don't smoke weed, but I'm like, that's what it's called.
Okay, but they also have one that I think it's their Epic that have the fries and stuff on it.
Do they have an Epic?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
I think you're just making stuff up.
All right. No, I'm not. So listen, Mike, the reason we are calling you is because you've been launching products like a madman. Today, I got a press release about the TX6R big brake kit for Ram heavy-duty trucks. What is up with that? We've been waiting a minute for that kit to come out.
Well, so you actually added a letter in the alphabet that's not in this one.
Oh, I did?
So, and believe me, it's hard for me to keep it all square. And yes, we have a lot of new stuff coming out. And honestly, it's all kind of finalizing itself from 2 years ago. Like we're finally getting all of it completed, which is cool.
So I added R, and R's not in there. It's just TX6.
Because it's not a radial mount, it's a DM, a direct mount.
Oh, the direct mount. But wait a minute, you had a direct mount, but I thought you also had. Oh, interesting.
No, so the new kit, the new kit you saw is the newest version where we're getting. It's not that we're even getting rid of the bracket. I think it's probably easier to explain what's going on with all of it by going back a little bit in time.
Okay, now we're back in time. Go.
So when you hit me up about your RAM and said, hey, I want to put brakes on it, and you want to go 17, and I wanted you to put 17s, but the problem was on those Ram trucks, including your TRX, it has a 14 3/4 inch diameter rotor. You have to be 18 inch or larger. for us to do a real upgrade, we couldn't go with what was our new kit called the Aero 6DM, which is that aerolite-based caliper. So we went to the TX kit and you put 20s on it. Well, the kit we put on is an R, so it's a radial mount. So that means it's got that bracket that bolts to the spindle, and then we slide the caliper down radially onto the bracket. Again, let's go back 2 years ago, and we got a local customer that we've always worked with.
Have to.
And I'm so going to start using like some old, like a young man voice. And then when we talk about now, I'm going to sound like an old man.
Look at what we have with our little direct mount caliper from
Right.
Ireland.
So I'm going to do the young man voice. So anyway, we totally got this.
Oh, I can't tell the difference between you and Jay now.
You get one of like 35 octaves, and there it is. Hold on. All right. Tell me more about the brakes.
Let me tell you about them. So,
dude, you
we
could
bring
be
this
a.
local
Hold on a
customer-
second. Wait,
Voice actor.
Mike, stop. You could be a voiceover artist for like cartoons, like Saturday morning cartoons.
well, I kind of believe that I could, but I'm not really trying too hard.
Wow.
Yeah, I should have just totally not worked at Wilwood and just been a voiceover person.
Although you have had a pretty good run there.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I guess I get to do some pretty cool stuff. In fact, tomorrow I'll be installing the brakes on this truck I'm telling you about,
Awesome.
which is kind of cool. We get this customer who's got a brand new 22 Denali 3500 fleet side, fully loaded. I mean, they didn't have the ultimate then, but like it was the ultimate, like high country, everything, right? Whatever you call it. We bring it in and he goes, hey, I want to put some brakes on it. We needed to test fit the TXR kit, so the radial mount kit. And we go to put the kit on, and we realize that the new caliper bracket that's stock on those trucks, the spindle to caliper bracket has got 4 bolts holding it together instead of 2.
Uh-oh.
So we're like, wait a minute. Well, we start looking a little bit deeper, and the way that the 4 bolts are designed on the stock upright, we can't really make a radial mount bracket. It's going to have interference at some point. So we're like, wait a minute, how are we going to skin this cat? Well, I said, listen, we're already doing the Aero 6DM. Why don't we look at doing the TX caliper, but in a DM fashion? So there's no bracket. The caliper bolts directly to the upright or the spindle.
Which, let me interrupt you, is super important for, correct me if I'm wrong, pedal feel, right? Because you don't have the caliper that's sliding on a bracket or anything like that, and so you have a more direct pedal feel when you're stomping on the brakes. You can modulate it better, and it just feels better from the cab.
Ultimately, we're going from floating calipers like we will be on your Jeep to a fixed mount. But what's happening is we couldn't build a bracket and then also bolt one of our calipers on it would interfere. We said, listen, let's look at just doing an Aero or a TX DM. So we've already been selling our TX calipers. I looked it up the other day for more than 10 years. It's a trusted caliper and brake kit all the way from 15 and a half, and 16-inch rotors for different applications. And then we also started looking at, the tooling for making the forging is getting long in the tooth. Like, it's probably a good thing if we come up with a new forging for the caliper. We said, listen, let's start looking at forging the lug into the inboard body and making it so it's a direct mount. Now, here's something that I've talked to you guys before about the Aero 6DM. The really benefit about doing this is it almost cost Wilwood more money to make a radial mount bracket than it does to make a caliper. Got me?
That is because
So when you have to do a bracket and a caliper, now you're talking about an even more expensive
just because there's so much more machining, 2 more bolts,
2 more forgings.
Well, no, to make a bracket almost costs Wilwood the same or more to make than a caliper. And when I tell people that, they don't believe me. But
well, because it's physically so much smaller. There's a lot less mass to it. But is it because
it's a more complex design than a caliper that bolts 2 sides together, and then you still have to bolt the caliper to that bracket, so that's increasing cost of the kit too, right?
Well, yeah. So we're cutting out the cost of a bracket. But the reason a bracket costs a lot of money for us to make is because we're not a bracket manufacturer. We're a caliper manufacturer. And you guys have seen our tooling and how we make all of our calipers in-house, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So we make lots of calipers. And we sell lots of calipers to people that aren't in brake kits, right?
Yeah.
So when we make brackets, we're not making as many brackets. And you usually have to machine at least 3 sides, but sometimes 4 sides of that bracket in order to make it, right?
Oh, oof.
By going to a DM style caliper, direct mount, we're alleviating a lot of cost in the kit. And that's where I keep trying to push to everybody. Listen, if we're selling this to a master warehouse or to a WD, and then he's selling it to a jobber, now that jobber is going to not have as many hours putting it onto the customer's car, and he can make some extra money on it.
Yeah, so right down to the retailer. That's what you're talking about, like a speed shop or off-road
exactly.
shop. Yeah, okay.
So we're cutting out some of the cost of the overall brake kit, and it doesn't take them as long to install the brake kit because they don't have to also install the bracket. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Now, what does it do for stopping power? I mean, like on mine, where I have the larger 14-inch rotor and the massive caliper, it is, I mean, not only does the brake feel was absolutely night and day. And anyone that has any question that's locally, I put them on my truck and I go, feel this. Like, this is not any HD truck.
And
like
let's face it, the TRX don't have the best brakes out there. Like for the
that's a
power,
thing. Yeah.
I remember on the media drive, we were smoking brakes just on the media course because you were getting so hot. So,
But on my Chevy, it was the same feel. Like, it was squishy, and I put on the Wilwoods, and it was just, it's a light switch, meaning it's not only the way it feels to your foot.
well, your GM brakes were crap.
They were awful.
Those
Yeah.
are awful brakes.
Yeah, but it's the confidence that you have as well, and that's partially worth the money. But talk to me about the size difference, Mike. Like, what does it do going slightly smaller for the DMs, the direct mounts?
Are those just sitting deeper down on the rotor?
No, you guys, it's exactly the same caliper. And we're talking about the same caliper you have on your car, Jay, on your truck.
But the
It's
rotor
just now
is
it's a
smaller.
direct mount. There's no bracket.
But
It's the same caliper.
I know that, but the rotor is smaller, correct?
No. So we haven't done this TX6DM, so the direct mount on your truck yet. But when we're looking at like a Chevy 2500 or an F250 or 350, what we're doing is we've always been making these brake kits, the TX6R radio mount, and you have a radio mount bracket. What we've done is eliminated the bracket, so it's still the same brake kit. It's just a direct mount, so there's no bracket.
Got it.
I just assumed
So
it
there's
was a different. I mean, I get that it was at the same caliper, but I felt like it was a different size rotor. But it's not.
It's the same brake kit. They're just taking a bracket out.
It's still the same brake kit. That's the crazy thing about this product also. When we came out with the Aero DM, we never had an Aero DM or anything close to it. So we did a lot of testing. But going from this TX6 radio mount caliper to this DM caliper, they're going to work exactly the same. They aesthetically are exactly the same. The only difference is there's no bracket. That's the only difference. They're going to perform exactly the same. There's no difference.
Why?
And we've never had a product like that.
Well, then why wasn't this done years ago? Or is that like a duh? Like you've been fighting for it for years? Like, why was the bracket made? Like, why do I have a bracket on my truck if this was possible?
What we did in the past is we would make, say, 10 different caliper part numbers and then try to make them work on everything. And that's how you make a bracket. You make one caliper and set of pads work on, say, 3 different rotor diameters with 3 different brackets. Coming a little bit further along, and honestly, because we're a bigger company, so we look at it and say, gosh, we're selling a lot of those brake kits. What can we do to make it better? Well, as soon as we came across this 3500 that had the 4 bolts holding the caliper on, we realized we couldn't make a bracket. So we're like, wait a minute. If we go to the DM, so it directly mounts, this is probably the right time to think about doing it.
So is this going to be something that becomes more pervasive across the Wilwood catalog, where you go to more DM kits?
That's why you saw a press release on the Ram today.
Got it. So basically, if you've got a 2005 to 22 Ford Super Duty, 2011 and up GM HD, 2014 to 23 Ram 2500, 3500, then if you've got 20-inch or larger wheels, you can fit Wilwood's direct mount, forged. These are forged aluminum calipers, 6-piston, and it's the Truck Extreme caliper with a 15-inch iron alloy rotor. That's a lot of upgrade in one kit.
It has been one of our best-selling brake kits, all of the TX brake kits with that TX caliper for over the last 10 years. And what's crazy is you either have someone that is really using it and driving the truck every day, so they're using it for work, and then what do they do on the weekends?
Yeah, they're romping on it.
They're taking their boat out.
Yep.
They're going out to the desert with their toy hauler. They've got a fifth wheel. These trucks are getting driven 7 days a week usually, and you're doing so many extra things like towing equipment during the week. Maybe you're a contractor and you're towing a trailer around. You've got to do something to upgrade the brakes. And how many of those trucks already come stock with 20s on them now? Right?
All of them.
Most of them.
Unless they have an off-road package or something. Almost all of the HDs with a premium wheel are all 20s now.
Yep. The truck coming in tomorrow has got a 20 and the brake kit fit with no problem. It used to be where you like had to pony up and go, gosh, if I really want to do this brake kit, I've got to buy wheels and tires and I have to buy the brake kit. But I would say in the last like 4 to 5 years, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong, but in the last 4 to 5 years, a lot of trucks, 3,500 and 2,500, they're all coming with 20-inch wheels. So 9 times out of 10, we can fit the brake kit in there. And if you look at the stock brakes that come on most of those trucks, you're kind of surprised that, well, why aren't they doing this anyway?
Cost. And a lot of these trucks are coming with 22s.
Well, yeah, the super premium things. Well, let's remind people. So, designed, tested, engineered in the USA. You've got regular off-the-shelf colors always available are the red calipers or gloss black, and then you've got 24 additional colors for an additional charge if somebody wants to make their calipers stand out or match their color scheme on their truck. And then these calipers are stress flow forged aluminum. Again, 6 differential bore pistons, so that way there's a balanced engagement. And then you've got reinforced end bridges on it. So imagine 2 sides of the caliper coming together. Those bridges keep it from deflecting under load so that you have a more consistent pedal feel and application of the pads. And now you guys also have your new Q ceramic base pads. Talk about those a little bit because that's new to me.
So that's actually a pad that we've done extensive testing on. My own truck that I do some towing with, it's on 33s. It really becomes hard for me to be excited about something at Wilwood, and that might sound crazy, but it's because I've seen so many products and I've tested so many products in-house that when my boss, Steve, which both of you know, he'll say, hey, G, try these pads out. And I go, oh, okay, let me try them out. Well, it's a big deal when I put them in my own car and then I drive it and I put some miles on it and maybe I tow my trailer out to the desert and back and I come back and I go, holy moly, this pad is outstanding. And then we start checking for wear and how the pad is wearing, what the rotors look like, and if it's squeaking. And that new Q pad that's called our BPQ, ceramic enhanced pad, it's outstanding. It's a really good overall pad that's going to be for more of a heavier vehicle. I wouldn't suggest that in, say, your hot rod or your muscle car.
How about a 6,900-pound Wrangler?
All day long.
And so what does it do? What am I gaining with this pad?
I hear it stops you faster than ordering too much queso at Hector's.
Thank you. Good night. Tip your waitress. Or tip Hector. So then what's the benefit?
you have to realize that the brake systems that come in a lot of stock vehicles, for instance, really the brakes that are on Holman's Jeep, okay? Yeah, it's a pig, and it weighs a lot.
Could you do the sad trombone? He said the brakes that come on my Jeep, which are not a strong, not a strong point of that particular vehicle, especially lifted on 37s and at 6,900 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, they're as bad as the ones on mine, or were.
So what you're going to find is that pad is what I call safe. It's a safe overall pad that's got enough performance, but not quite enough performance. They don't want Karen and her boyfriend coming in a month later and saying, "Oh gosh, I don't know what's going on. My wheels are dirty," right? Well, it's because Jeep said, "I don't want to make too much noise," right? I want to keep this safe.
Have you been to Newport Beach? Every Range Rover has 4 years worth of brake dust on the front wheels. Every single one of them. I don't think they care.
No, they don't care. I don't know what that is about.
Like wash your freaking car.
Yeah, they can't afford a detailer.
I know, seriously.
You know what? There's a great example. A lot of companies like that, they put actually a more aggressive pad because it's a performance vehicle. Now, I'm not discounting your Jeep, but I'm telling you, when you go to like this BPQ material, even if we had it for your stock calipers and you put it in, you would be amazed how much better your brakes were, right?
Well, it turns out I like to be amazed.
Is it like less fade or less like
more bite?
More bite?
So more bite and really good engagement and disengagement. So the heavier the vehicle, you typically want to have a pad that releases real smooth, or else that it feels abrupt. Like if you're towing something in your diesel pickup and you get on the brakes really hard and then you get off and it kind of jumps up, we don't want to have such an aggressive pad that it really jumps up. Like the engagement, the disengagement is like a race car. That BPQ pad is designed so it's like when you release the brake pedal, it's a smooth transition off the brake instead of an abrupt like you would want on a race car. You want to get back on the throttle and you want the car to unload, right? You don't want that in a big old heavy truck. It feels very, it doesn't feel very confident. And you used that word earlier. We want to make it confident. You want it to feel like you've got good brakes, but not kind of like jerk the wheel out of your hand because you've got a lot of things going on. You're towing a trailer. You got a lot of weight in mind. You've got to stop a little bit earlier because some fool stopped in front of you trying to get off the freeway, right?
Right.
So that Q pad is really that type of friction. And it works really good across the board with our TX kits and now the TX6DM. See, I have a hard time myself with it.
So let's go back and just kind of refresh people. So the TX stands for Truck Extreme. And
correct.
And the 6 stands for how many pistons?
Right.
Actually, it stands for Tactical Extreme.
Tactical Extreme. Okay. And
we started making these brake kits for the military
down in Mexico,
years
right?
ago.
Yeah. Wasn't it like you're making them for the vehicles in Mexico, their military? There was Federales that were in high altitude, or not high, but like coming down mountains, and they like on the way down and chasing the drug runners. Yeah, they couldn't stop, right?
It was mostly designed for a lot of armored vehicles that weigh a lot.
So then you've got the TX6DM for direct mount, then the older ones that I have, the TX6R for the radial mount. Now, will you be phasing out the radial mount in favor of the direct mount? Because it sounds like direct mount would be the way to go because it's cheaper, it's less money for the customer,
less complicated,
it's less complicated for you to build. Does it even make sense to keep it around?
Less complicated to install.
Or are there applications where you're going to need it?
What you saw today was another example of we're going to start phasing out the RAM kits that are radial mount and go to the DM.
Gotcha. So that's why I've been getting calls from Wilwood saying, "Can we borrow your truck again?" Interesting.
Well, another thing we should point out too, while we're at it. So the calipers are made with stainless steel FlexLine kits and then all premium grade hardware. And one of the questions I think a lot of people have is, what's the compatibility with my master cylinder, my ABS, and then all the electronics that come with modern vehicles in the brakes. And that's something that you guys engineer in, but maybe walk through how you're making a better caliper work with the existing master cylinder, because that'll be a question people have.
And this is going to be tech that we give across the board. Imagine every vehicle for the last 10 to 15 years that has ABS, factory ABS. So you've got your Corvettes, you've got your late model Mustangs, you've got your Chevy 3500, you've got your Jeep, your TRX, my Trail Boss. What we do is we design the brake systems around the factory parameters. So we'll take, the way that we start this is we take the factory caliper and see what the square area of the clamping force is. So let's say it's a 2-piston floating caliper. We'll measure the diameter of those 2 pistons, figure out their square area, and then find a fixed mount caliper. Now, fixed mount, remember you guys, that's where you've got opposing pistons on both faces of the rotor. So we find a fixed mount caliper that has very similar or exactly the same square area. So now all of your fluids and your master cylinder bore size, it thinks it's still feeding the same square area. Get it?
Gotcha. Yep.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It's not like a 32 Ford, which everybody knows that we're known for, where we're taking off these old antiquated drums with a little tiny wheel cylinder and we're putting on a 4-piston caliper with 11-inch rotors, which is like night and day on those cars. I mean, you ever drive some old 32 Roadster with factory type, because they didn't really come with hydraulic brakes, and then you put on disc brakes, it's like night and day.
I feel like you're humble bragging right now, because us truck guys don't get to drive 32 Fords all the time, Mike.
No, we don't.
You know what's funny? Out of all the cars that I've never driven, that's one of the ones that I would like to someday.
32 Ford?
Yeah.
It feels
done
like
it.
motorcycle brakes are always just so awful.
Would you stop for a second? I believe Mike was about to say, let's make that happen.
He was?
We can make that happen. A 29 Ford.
Whose?
Yeah, whose?
Brian Brennan.
I don't know that name.
Yeah.
Wait, do I know that
Yeah,
name?
Brian from the magazines.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I mean,
No,
I've never driven one of those things. I would love to.
And Brian's car is a quintessential car I'm talking about. When you go to a brake upgrade like that on those vehicles, you're like, wow, this thing is great to drive. It's not like some old 29 Ford. So when we go to a fixed mount caliper, we know that we've got everything correct. And we've already figured out that it's got the same amount of clamping force as the factory brake system. So our ABS is going to work right. The master cylinder is already going to be set correctly. Because we don't want to change any of those things. We want it to work with those systems and traction control, everything.
But if you've got the same clamping force, then how do the Wilwoods clamp better if they have the same force?
No, they're different because they have less compliance. Remember we talked about compliance on your truck.
Yes, that's right.
How your pedal was all wonky. It's because you've got this huge caliper that's pushing on the inside face of the rotor and pulling the other side. And if you saw my arm right now, it's moving all over the place.
Well, as you know, Lightning is one of the least compliant people that I know. So
thank you. Good night. So yeah, that's right, because you're moving one side of the caliper and not the other. And
you're not moving the caliper at all. The pistons just barely move.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm saying in the factory one, only one side moves. And in the Wilwood, you've got both sides moving.
Technically, 2 sides move because you're pushing on the inboard while the slide pins make the outboard pull in.
Okay.
So there's a lot moving. Like in a race car, if you have all that movement, you've got too much modulation in the pedal. You can't get back to the throttle quick enough, right?
Mike, you're talking too fast. You're talking too fast. Professor Jay is over here with his whiteboard, scribbling it out to try to understand the black magic that you're trying to divulge here.
I've got it. I'm just, I want it to be clear, because if you're saying like we meet all of the factory ABS requirements, so you're not setting lights and throwing it off, then you got to explain, well, then how is it better if like you're satisfying the OE, right?
By making all of the fluid, let's just call it fluid requirements the same. Okay. Now the next thing that we're doing is we took all the compliance out. So now your pedal feels way better, and the pedal's not stroking down to the floor, right?
Lightning strokes
I'm
down to the
stroking
floor.
down the floor.
Every episode about 10 p.m. is when he starts to crash.
I'm coming on. I got about 45 minutes left, and I'm just going to lay down and stroke out.
So here's the next big difference. And I think you tripped out when I threw the caliper at you, because I know I did, Jay. When you came over to put the brakes on your truck, I literally threw you one of the calipers, and you thought it was going to be a lot heavier than it was, right?
It was incredibly light. I was stunned at how little mass it had.
So basically, now we've got a piece of aluminum which dissipates heat easier and better than the steel caliper and steel bracket that was bolted onto your truck, that as you put temperature into that factory brake, it gets saturated and it holds that temperature. So now we've got this forged aluminum caliper that's way lighter, so you have less unsprung weight on the truck, which is a good thing. And it's dissipating the heat easier. So now we've already built something into the system that a lot of people don't realize: repeatability. So you can keep hitting the brake over and over, because every time it gets saturation, like it gets hot, it cools itself off.
That's where we went wrong with the podcast, is we lack repeatability.
That's true. You know what? It's funny because when you're talking about the aluminum, and we just kind of like, oh yeah, it's metal's metal. No, hold on. If you look at the back of your car stereo or amplifier, or like an old school
heat sink,
the heat sink, they're always aluminum.
Well,
why is that? They're always aluminum.
Well, hold on a second, because rotors are cast iron, and they are also a heat sink.
Nope, I'm going to go a little bit further on it. So the factory rotors are typically a one-piece. Most Wilwood kits are two-piece. So now we bolt a cast iron rotor to an aluminum hat,
Helps show
and then the
heat.
aluminum hat is helping you dissipate the heat.
Right, because all the heat that's been sunk into the cast iron rotor is going to the aluminum, and the aluminum's cooling off and drawing heat toward the center.
Yeah, rejects heat a lot faster. It doesn't hold it.
So that the listener understands something, okay? In these late model vehicles, we are not trying to get them to stop 50 feet shorter, 20 feet shorter. And people get very confused. They say, but that's what I got the brakes for.
No.
What we're trying to do, we're trying to make it so that you can repeat the braking over and over without any fade.
You want the same performance that you were used to with a better brake feel to be repeatable without fade.
So that
what that means is your brakes, because you have the same master cylinder, you have the same area on the pistons, all that. The braking effort is going to be similar, right? But the pedal feel is going to be better. Modulation is going to be better. But if you're coming down a hill, you can put more heat into that system. You can put more over time as things are getting heat, as they're being used. It's more repeatable. There's less fade. You have a better pad.
So here's
better
the
rotor.
test that I did with my old GM, my Chevy 3500 dually, up on 37-inch tires. It weighed 10,100 pounds, almost as much as Holman's Jeep does today. We went to the Port of Long Beach.
Loaded.
We went to the Port of Long Beach, and we found an empty street on a Sunday. And we did it before and after we put the Wilwoods on. And we did 10 full lock brakes. We went with 60 miles an hour, full lock. And then we did it again, and again, like full, we're just like, and then we put the Wilwoods on, and we did the same thing the next weekend. We came back, and we found that on the 10th full lock, I was stopping. I know you're not talking about distance, but I proved it.
Over time, distance matters, though.
Yes, over time.
Because the fade.
I stopped 11 feet shorter on the 10th full lock than I did on the 10th full lock with the stock brakes. That is half a car length. That was me not accordioning some car in front of me. You know what I'm saying?
The testing that we did originally on our Chevy 2500 with our 32-foot trailer and our Wilwood Mustang, it was like brand new then. And this will take you back, Sean. This is back when KJ started being the diesel guy.
Oh, yeah.
So we went out to Camarillo Airport, and we did, like, it was like on a Thursday or a Friday. I think it was Thursday. We completely loaded the truck and trailer I think we were at like 19,000 pounds, something like that. And I put the gain on the trailer to 3. So not too much braking, but I had a 3,250 pound car in the trailer, plus everything to like, quote unquote, go to the track for the weekend or go racing. We were doing 60 to zeros back to back to back to back. And we were literally increasing our stopping distance like 5 feet, and then another 10 feet, then 20 feet, because the brakes were giving up. And we had 20s on it. We had taken off the stock 17-inch wheels and already put our 20s on it to do the test. Went back to the shop in the afternoon, put all the brakes on, front and rear, TX6R 6-piston brakes. Went out the next day and did the exact same stopping. We shortened up our distance after 10 to 15 stops by 30 feet.
Which is
That's incredible.
2 car lengths.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
that's
here's the
literally
crazy
getting,
thing.
that's, I want you to think about this. This is, again, not smashing into the car in front of you.
Not smashing into 2 cars
Two
in front
cars,
of you.
yeah.
And completely.
Well, here's
obliterate.
another crazy thing. Here's another crazy thing about it is our engineer that is on our OE side and was helping us develop it for our street customers. We found a saturation temperature, like a temperature that it never got any cooler and it never got any hotter after every stop. And I was blown away. I'm like, are you kidding me? He kept doing the temperature tests on the rotors. As soon as the thing would come to rest, we would check the temperatures front and rear. And probably after 10 stop, they were saturated, but they were still stopping great. That means that we were dissipating heat and monitor. We were kind of taking care of it at that point. Well, here's what I ended up doing with the factory brakes. After like probably 5 to 12 stops, as you came to rest, the wheel would like jerk out of my hand. I mean, it was a lot. The next day, it was so smooth that, and guess who was there helping us test? Are you ready?
Who?
Brian Cox. So Brian Cox,
I don't know
who
who
worked
that is.
over at Hot
I
Rod
do.
then.
Okay,
He,
got it.
he was out there for the day. And I told him, I said, after I get on the brakes, this next time I'm going to flick the lights. I want you to move the cone. And we're going to act as though, what happens when you're towing something? You're coming down a grade and you come around a bend and all of a sudden all the traffic is stopped and it's 2-lane road. And you go, oh, I got to get out of this lane. So you get on the brakes and then you look for a way out. You're like, wait a minute, I'm going to see if I can get over into the left-hand lane to bypass this and not run into anybody, right? I said, I want you to put the cone where I flick the light. And this next one, I'm going to change lanes while I'm braking. And KJ was like, come on, man, you ain't going to do that. I ended up doing it over and over. And that truck would come to rest without jerking my hands off the wheel. My videographer was able to hold the camera and videotape it because he couldn't the first day. The stock brakes, they were just janky. It was just terrible.
A lot of people don't realize that you can be under full braking and still steer. And with ABS. Without ABS, no, you just plow forward. But with ABS, you can still steer around a cone.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that like at a driving school a couple years ago with my kid was turning 16, and I just watched him. They're like full lock and then just steer through these cones. And you're like, no, it's not going to steer. I'm just going to plow all the cones over. And he goes, no, steer right through them, right around them. No. And like most people will hopefully never be in that position to need to do that, but you can.
And I have been in that position twice where we were going 395 up to Reno for Hot August nights, and they're working on the road up just before like the border, kind of like before it's either before or after Mono Lake. I came around a bend and everyone was stopped, and and they were working on the road, so it just had like gravel and crap all over it. And I was loaded down with 2 cars in the trailer and displays, everything. And I got on the brakes really hard. and just started turning. I started turning, and it just helped me go just by so I didn't hit that car, the last car in line that was stopped. And it blew me away. Like, wow, okay. These brakes really did work really well.
They just paid for themselves.
Yeah, all it takes
Absolutely.
is one situation, and
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Are the TX6DM, the direct mount big brake kits, available now?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Are they available for every platform? No.
No.
We're slowly launching all of the different ones, just like the Ram today.
Okay. So they are available for the 2014 to 2023 Ram 25 and 3500 trucks. Are they available for the GM 25 and Ford, or are those coming?
The Ford will be coming, but the GM has already been launched.
Okay, so 2011 to current, 2500 and 3500 HDs, and then the 2005 to 22 Ford F-250 350s, those are coming. So if you're GM and Ram, you got your
Fleet
brakes.
side. I want to make sure that people know that with a dually, the 3500 dualies, we can't do a rear brake because that rear caliper is huge clamping force. So we only do the front brake kits on those trucks.
Gotcha. Okay, single rear wheel. All right, well,
Correct.
Mike, this is cool. I know you've been fighting for this direct mount kit for literally years, and you've finally given birth to this beautiful little baby boy in the shape of a rotary caliper.
It was actually the Aero DM one that I was fighting for so long, but I'm stoked because now we're looking at how we can make these kits because they're not inexpensive.
No. These are a couple $1,000.
They're definite. You're looking at a real investment for your truck, and now that we can make them more affordable. And again, what I really like is getting it to our guys that are jobbers and installing them in the shop, and they don't have to take as much labor and still get paid for it. It's awesome. I mean, they're still going to get 2 hours for installing the brakes, let's say, but it's really only going to take them like an hour and 10 minutes.
But we got a lot of do-it-yourselfers, so you can do this in your garage. Like, don't let Mike scare you that it's got to go at a shop.
No,
I mean, this is absolutely something you can put on in your garage.
As long as you know how to torque a wheel, you can do this.
Right. Perfect.
Well, I'm looking forward to finally getting the brakes on mine. I know we've been talking about it for 2 years.
Yeah, and yours is you know what's just happening is that we're just all super busy.
Yeah, how the hell did Mark Hahn get a set on a Bronco, yet the 392, nothing?
I don't know.
And did he tell you how much better that Bronco was?
Well, that Bronco's a pile. I mean, that Bronco needed it, is what I was going to say. So,
oh, my dear Lord. It was like night and day, and he was blown away because, I mean, let's be honest. Mark's a little bit less of a car guy than the three of us. I mean, we've been car guys for a long time, right?
Sure.
And he just pulled out of the shop after putting the brakes on and was like, I can totally tell the difference. And I'm like, I know, that's the point. It's so much better.
Yeah.
What do you have for a 4748 Ford Deluxe Coupe?
Wait, why?
What spindle?
I don't know yet.
Well, you tell me what spindle
Hold
and
on,
we'll figure it out.
wait. Why are you asking? Who's this
Because
for?
I have questions. That's what you do when you have your
What do you-
friend Mike on the horn and you have
Hold on a
brake
second.
questions you ask about.
Who owns this vehicle?
Why does anybody have to own it? I just want to know if he has a kit for that particular vehicle.
Hold on a second.
Hold on to what?
Are you breaking news here?
No, I'm asking Mike, what does he have for that? You've got that for Fords, right?
Hey, you're supposed to have like the breaking news
No,
music.
it's not breaking
Well,
news.
I
No,
feel
it's
like
not.
this is breaking
It's not.
news.
I'm telling
Something
you
is
it's not
going on
breaking
here.
news.
No, it's like what? I
I'm
don't.
just
Oh, wait a
kidding.
minute. Wait a minute. You're talking to me, so it's breaking news.
Oh, thank you. Good night.
All right, I'll find out and then I'll tell you later.
Sounds good. You know where to find me.
I do. I just need to get myself up there. Hey, if I come up there and we do the brakes, can we go to Hector's again?
I'll bring Hector to us.
Oh
wow. Dang,
that's
baller.
Yeah, all right.
It's gonna have a Hector's catered.
Hector keeps saying that he wants to come over and visit, so
All right.
we'll arrange it so that we order and then he brings it and then we'll hang out with Hector at the shop.
Hey, you know what's wrong with Hector's restaurant, Jay?
That you're not eating there right now?
No, that he has Mexican Coke and Dr. Pepper.
Oh, geez, how do you choose?
I don't know. Because, like, when you're having Mexican food, there's nothing better than Mexican Coke in a glass bottle.
Nope. You know what you do? You pour them in together.
I don't know about that.
You have to. You have suicide. You got to do that.
Ugh, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. All right, Mike, thank you very much for checking in with us again. Congratulations on getting the TX6DM kits to market. And if you guys have HD trucks, you know we're fans of the Wilwood.
Oh, yeah. We we either are running them or will run them. So,
Right. All right, Mike, you're the best. Thank you for allowing us to take up some of your evening.
Okay, man. Thanks, guys.
all right, see ya.
All right, bye.
I have a U review lined up for us, and it is our friend Justin Gore who had the chance to tow with a Tesla Cybertruck.
Now, wait a minute. Is this the same Justin Gore that has Subaru WRX?
Had one, yeah.
Oh, he doesn't anymore.
No, he has a Wrangler 4xe last time I talked to him.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So he works at Unplugged Performance, and thought it'd be interesting to give his take on what it was like to tow with a Cybertruck.
Okay, let's dial up Mr. Justin Gore. Where's he right now? Do you know?
Yosemite, I think.
Oh, okay.
Vacation with the fam.
Yo,
Lightning and Holman Truck Show Podcast. What's up, my man, Justin?
what's up?
How are you doing? Are you actually in Yosemite National Park right now?
I will be tomorrow. I'm
Ah.
actually sitting in front of Bass Lake right now.
Oh, great
actually.
spot.
Wow,
Yeah,
fantastic.
it's
So what is
pretty
it? This is a family vacation?
This is a little bit of a baby moon, I guess, is what they call it.
Oh.
One last little vacay before the wife pops it out.
Oh, got it. Congratulations.
Just don't let them talk you into a push present. That's made up by women. It doesn't exist.
What do you call it, a push present?
The push present.
That's dumb.
I know. That's why they've like
push present?
all the Bravo shows. They're like, oh, your husband needs to buy you a Range Rover because you pushed out a human. Of course, this is us dudes talking, but I'm just telling you, all the dudes, don't fall for it. There's no such thing as a push
All
present.
right. Well, we want to get your review of towing with a Cybertruck before we've got this intro. Don't move.
Tell us all about your truck. Is it great or does it suck? Before I buy, I need a clue. Don't pull punches, you review.
How do we feel about that bass line?
I love it, dude. It's funky. I love it. All right, so as we mentioned, it's not just in Cybertruck. He works for Unplugged Performance, but he gets to play with Teslas all day. And he had a chance recently to, was it towing one of the race cars up with the Cybertruck?
Yeah, I was towing our Dark Helmet Model S Plaid race car that you've seen in person. You
have?
Stood on the front splitter, and it did not break.
Yes, they said that this is great carbon fiber, and they said you could stand on it. I'm like, I'm not standing on that. No, we promise, and it held me. So
So you ended up doing it.
Yeah. So
did you panic?
Well, yeah, because it's probably a $5,000 piece of carbon or something. It's like real carbon. It's like
Didn't break.
like $10,000 actually. I don't know. It's more money than I have.
Okay, so you were towing this. What kind of a trailer?
And how much weight?
Yep.
So it was a hydraulic tilt trailer, about 24, 25 footer. All in all, car plus trailer was hovering right around 9,000 pounds.
Okay.
Dual axle. I can't remember. It was a rental trailer. Our actual trailer was being used up at Laguna Seca with one of our Model 3s to go get some testing done. But yeah, this was just a rental that we've used before, but towing behind our Cyber Beast. And yeah, about 9,000 pounds all in all.
The first question, Justin, is what was the overall experience? And then we'll get into kind of the nuts and bolts of it. Like, were you happy with it? Is this something, you work for Unplugged, so you're going to be a little biased, but you guys don't mod the batteries or anything like that, right?
No, we don't touch anything battery related. So this Cybertruck is essentially stock. It's wrapped, and it does have our 24 by 9.5 CyberHex wheels on it.
Those are the cool honeycomb wheels. I love those wheels. Those things are awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it was awesome. I think the 24s actually fit that truck perfectly. But honestly, the towing experience was, I didn't even realize anything was behind me most of the time. Going downhill a little hairy, but nothing too bad.
Is that because there's not, I mean, are you typically, let's say you're going downhill with the load, is that like the regen becomes your exhaust brake in a sense? Was it strong enough to slow it down, or are you heating up the brakes and riding them?
Yeah, it actually was. I didn't use brakes that much, and it does have a built-in trailer brake controller. I set the gain to, I think, 6.5%, but I didn't even use it. I honestly set the regen to a towing setting because they have that. Essentially, yeah, it acted like an exhaust brake, and it slowed the truck down. I did have to hit the brakes a couple times, but it wasn't the truck itself. That thing rules. And as ugly and weird and polarizing as it is, and whatever anybody thinks of the guy running the business, he made something pretty cool.
So let me ask you this.
Do truck stuff.
If you were riding bareback in your skivvies, would you have had more or less attention as the Cybertruck?
Oh my God, probably less.
You can't even pick your nose, can you?
You can't. I was just happy that those windows were tinted, because driving the 101 was just people slowing down again, because I'm not just in a regular Cybertruck. I'm in a Cybertruck on 24s towing a race car with a Casa Bonita giant spoiler on the back of it. And exactly. And it grabbed more attention than I'm ever used to. And it was a little weird, but it is what it is. It's a Cybertruck towing a race car it's going to get some looks.
I don't want to, Justin, hold on a second, Justin. I don't want to gloss over this. We laughed, and then I realized, at your Casa Bonita reference, and I go, wait a minute, people may not know. Casa Bonita is like the world's largest Mexican restaurant in Colorado. It's outside of Denver. It's like an entire shopping center, and it's an amusement park inside of the Mexican restaurant is an amusement park.
What's Casa Bonita? Dude, haven't you ever been there? It's a big Mexican restaurant, but they have like cliff jumpers and Black Bart's Cave and all kinds of stuff. It's like the Disneyland of Mexican restaurants.
It was a place that was super campy. It was owned by a family. It's the worst Mexican food you could ever have in life. And then they heard it was closing, and the dudes from South Park went and bought it, lost almost all their money reopening this thing, and now they're bringing it back. It's a staple of Colorado. Did I ever tell you that I wrote a Yelp review on Casa Bonita?
No, you didn't.
All right, so I wrote this Casa Bonita review after watching it on South Park and then going there. And so it's on Yelp. And I said, first off, I'm obligated to give Casa Bonita 5 stars. Never mind that I've traveled to Mexico and have had real Mexican food from which I experienced a horrible case of Montezuma's revenge and still found more edible. Despite this, Casa Bonita is everything I've ever been promised from family, friends, South Park, and yes, fellow Yelpers. Few places on earth are just as they appear on TV and photos or the internet, but Casa Bonita is one of these. I place Casa Bonita on the same level as Hawaii and Las Vegas for being exactly as advertised. It's best described as Pirates of the Caribbean meets the log ride, except you replace burning Caribbean towns and pirate animatrons with LED bedazzled palm trees and oddly themed actors that are just as campy and robotic as Disney's famous robots. Oh, and don't forget the high divers doing death-defying leaps from a raging waterfall. Speaking of visceral experiences, the smell is hard to describe, but it won't stop me from trying. Think of what it might smell like if Tijuana met its fate at the hands of a giant over-chlorinated tidal wave and then was left to dry out in a dark, damp closet. Sure, the Mexican food is a caricature of itself, and better acting can be found Sunday afternoons on Lifetime. Yet if you come with the group and with the right attitude, there's plenty of entertainment to be had. We found ourselves laughing the entire visit, mostly at the expense of this wonderful institution known as Casa Bonita. Pro tip, tell them it's the birthday of the least liked person in your entourage. Whether you agree with my review or not, be sure your adventure ends with fried ice cream. It might be the best thing about Casa Bonita beyond the all-you-can-use one-ply and El Baño. Seriously, it's like an ice cream scoop wrapped in a churro, and who can argue with that?
Nice. Well worded.
So if you want to taste of, well, maybe that's the wrong.
You don't want to taste. Yeah. Oh, that's what Casa Bonita is all about. But the reason that the guys from South Park bought it, Matt and Trey, is because they had talked about it so many times in their episodes. They even had a song about it, Casa Bonita.
Casa Bonita, food and fun and a best of that.
Anyway, it became part of the lore of South Park. And so basically they were like, we have to save this institution because that's what it has become. And you guys, for some reason, have Casa Bonita on your dark helmet.
No, so I want to get that.
race
Like,
car.
why is that? And for people that don't get the dark helmet reference, that's Spaceballs reference because of course the plaid and all
That's
those
where
things.
plaid comes from. Is
That's all
Spaceballs.
Spaceballs. So dark helmet was Darth Vader, played by what was the character? Who's the
It was
Rick Moranis. Okay, so back to the Casa Bonita. How did that sponsorship happen?
I honestly have zero idea how that happened, but I know that the car races at Pikes Peak, and
Which is Colorado.
I am assuming, which is also in Colorado. For those who don't know, I'm assuming that it has something to do with the car being in Colorado, getting records broken up at Pikes Peak, and they probably saw some kind of an opportunity. Maybe your buddy Randy Popes might have had something to do with it.
Love me some Randy.
Yeah, he's driven that car many times. But I don't know how Casa Bonita got on that car. So I don't know. Maybe some other people might know.
You need to ask.
Who you know as well. So
Yeah, inquiring minds want to know.
I will ask,
Okay.
and I will ask, and I will get back to you.
Okay, back to the Cybertruck. When you were going down, you said it was great except for a couple of moments. What were those moments when you thought were a little squirrely?
There was just really one pucker moment for about 2 seconds. Just towards the bottom of the Camarillo grade, there was a box truck that decided to move over suddenly into my lane and go very slowly. And I had nowhere else to go, so I slammed on him. I didn't even have time to hit the trailer gain, the brake controller, but it was fine. It was all good. It was just a little hairy. I think that truck is slightly under braked, and it just needs some, maybe some brake pads, which we are going to be offering very soon. But again, it was really not that bad. It was just that one kind of pucker moment. The regen really took care of it most of the time. In traffic, it was okay. Just coming out of the 405, from Hawthorne where we're located, it was a little trafficy and stop and go. But besides that, the truck was fantastic, other than the charging that I had to deal with.
Well, we're going to get to that. So the next thing, though, I want to know about a sway control, because a lot of guys with half tons, for example, you'll go and buy like a BW hitch or one of those, and they've got the sway control, right? They've got the two arms that come out at
that's a self-leveling hit, or that's a self weight distributing hit.
I'm sorry, weight
that's different.
distributing.
Sway control is when your brakes on opposite sides of the vehicle brake to counter the sway of a trailer behind you.
But they have multi ones where it's got the leveling and sway all built into one apparatus.
No, there's two different things. One is the electronic controls that are on your OE vehicle stock.
Right.
The other is a weight distributing hitch. That's something you add to your trailer.
But I've seen, like, the one that I'm referring to has a shock absorber, like you might see on a triple clamp of a motorcycle. It's got a shock that will slow down the sway. So it's connected to your weight distribution hitch. I guess maybe I'm just conflating two things, but tell me about how the Cybertruck reacts to that sway, because in my mind, it could do it with the motors on the truck. It could stop the sway without needing any kind of third-party apparatus on the hitch.
Yeah, so I think that's similar to what they have going on in there. They're kind of like my brake moment. There was one crosswind that hit me, and that car has a lot of aero on it. So it almost felt like a giant sail back there. And I did correct it on my own at one point, but then the truck felt like with the rear steer, it might have kicked over a little bit to correct my correction. And I think that's what their sway kind of control is like what you said about the power going to one side or the other. But again, I honestly lucked out on this drive. It was pretty drama free, and
no trailer tires.
No, no, it was great. The truck itself it towed it no issue. I mean,
Justin, how about the auto leveling? You got air suspension.
That was amazing. I hitched up at I hitched up at headquarters, bringing it up, like dropping it down, bringing it up. We're all with the air suspension. And once I coupled and brought up the foot for the trailer, it leveled in about 2 seconds.
And how is the power with the trailer behind it?
It doesn't need a pedal monster, unfortunately.
Well, then you were joking about so power's fine, but you were chewing through it quickly, right? So how often did you have to top off?
So I left Hawthorne, California, which is over by LAX for those of you who don't know, and I made it about 60 miles to Westlake Village. I only left Hawthorne with about a 60% state of charge because one of my techs didn't plug in the truck when he was checking it over. So I got to Westlake Village after about 60 miles down to roughly 12% state of charge.
Oof.
That was the most consumption that I saw over the trip. Obviously using AC, it was very hot that day. I left at 4:00, lots of traffic. That took about an hour and a half. It was at an older V2 supercharger, which are very slow. I think, I'm not an expert on these, but I think they're like 150 kilowatt chargers. Then made it to Santa Barbara from 100% charge to about another 20%.
That section right there, Justin, is relatively flat. It just follows the coastline.
Yeah, you got the grade. You have Camarillo to get up and over, which is fine. But from Westlake to Santa Barbara, then Santa Barbara to Buellton. Charged at Buellton with, I think, about another 20%. And then Buellton to the Madonna Inn in San Luis Obispo. And that was it. 8 hours in total to go 200 miles.
Oh, my gosh. So I just did that exact route. My kid goes to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, which is just 10 miles north of that Madonna Inn. The Madonna Inn, by the way, for any of you that have been to Southern California, is crazy. You should go there. It's all the themed rooms. It's like dungeons and all kinds of crazy stuff. But so that route for me took 3 hours and 20 minutes in one of Bank's dualies a couple weekends ago. And it gets like, I don't know, the low 20s. So 8 hours, that's grueling for that same 3 hour and 20 miles.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I was doing 55, 60, maybe 65 the whole time, trying to follow the laws. Plus I have a priceless race car on the back of a truck that I don't own. So
a car you don't own, on a trailer you don't own, on a truck you don't own.
Yeah, I was being very cautious, and I didn't want to do anything too stupid. But it was actually a really nice experience. The charging experience was a little whatever.
Wonky.
The pull-through chargers don't really, a little wonky. Pull-through chargers don't exist. So I actually had a buddy, this guy named Zach, who has a Model 3 that has driven that thing all over the country. And he knows where every single supercharger is and how to block spots and really kind of like, he was like my pilot car. And he was able to really block certain superchargers so I can at least get the easy access to. That helped a lot.
Justin, before you move on, talking about this, because there are no pull-throughs, how do you do with the trailer? Because in a lot of circumstances, those charging stations are like they're rows of parking spots, and you can't pull into one and then merely back out.
And that's
with
what
a
we've
trailer.
talked about on the show a ton of times. Is like if you want people to go to trucks and have EV truck experience, you have to start having pull-through charging stations. But that's not how the infrastructure is being built right now.
It is necessary. Like you need it, even if you have a jet ski, right? Like you still need the space. So what Zach helped me do was, like I said, he went and blocked certain areas for me because, again, I'm in a giant truck. I have 30 feet behind me, and the first Westlake Village supercharger is basically at a Ralph's parking lot, at a supermarket parking lot. And there's one spot on the end of the row that, like, the entrance to the superchargers is like a little kind of entranceway from the main parking lot. So I essentially took up the entire entryway and blocked that one side like a,
douche,
like an a-hole, like a douche, like a cyber douche. And luckily the other side of the supercharger that you could get in and out, like there's no problem. You just have to use your eyeballs. Santa Barbara supercharger, again in a CVS parking lot this time. I was able to kind of pull around the side of it and basically take a cable from the supercharger across an island, like a little parking lot island, and it was okay there. Plus, our owner Avi was in our fully tricked out Invincible Cybertruck, and he had actually that last spot being used for him, and then I just took it from him. So then Buellton, just a straight row of superchargers at a hotel.
Blocked every single one of them.
10:30. Oh yeah. It was 10:30 at night. There was nobody there, and I parallel parked the truck across probably 10 chargers.
That'll teach them. All right, I have one question because I haven't driven. I've seen it. I've sat in it at Unplugged. How is the wind noise in it with the sharp edges and the funky peak on it? I always wondered at highway speeds, is it quiet inside that thing?
Surprisingly, yeah, it is. That windshield is pretty dang thick, and I think it really deflects the air. Like it looks ridiculous, but it really isn't that noisy. I mean, I couldn't tell really any difference from any car. I mean, my JL is obviously a brick in the wind. Yeah. So is yours.
Oh yeah.
So those are freaking noisy.
Mine is a brick in the wind
Cybertruck,
with other bricks hanging off of it.
The only real noise I heard was from the 315 45 24 Nittos that were on the thing.
Yeah, the noise grapplers on there.
Yeah, the noise grapplers, and plus with the that offset from the 24s, it did poke out a little bit.
And I'm sure the hitch probably made some noise too. No, you hear the trailer banging on the back, or was it pretty tight?
Oh, so what you hear on that car is the wind going over that giant spoiler. And something interesting was happening at freeway speeds. You can feel the downforce of that wing pushing down on the trailer.
Oh, that's weird. And so with the car on the trailer, you're actually pushing the downforce on the back of the trailer,
which is where you're trying to come up,
where you don't want to have weight.
Where you don't want it. And I think I noticed it did level off at one point on the freeway. I think I might have been tripping or something. I don't know. I think the truck lifted itself up in the back to level off, but I never felt the front end wander. I never felt anything happen like, Jay, you've talked about your experiences and trailering on bridges and things. So I never felt anything like that. And I think just the weight of the truck, 7,000 pounds, it tracked. But yeah, you definitely feel that downforce. It was really interesting. Like, it was something I've never felt before.
And no banging of the hitch or anything like that?
No. The hitch was, I mean, it's actually not even a great hitch that we had in there, but it was tight. It was good. Nothing really. Like, it was a little bit of that little front and back in the receiver, but nothing too abnormal.
Okay, Justin, a different question. Away from the getting away from the suspension and the ride, how about that dashboard? Like, that dashboard is 35 feet long. Is it weird? Or do you get over it really quickly?
I don't think you'll ever get over it or get used to it. Again, I was in that truck for 8 hours, and you look out that dash, out that window, and it feels like it's a mile away. It's something else. It's an experience to drive this thing, and it's like nothing else. The steering wheel, or the steering yoke wheel, half wheel thing, that actually is very comfortable over a long period of time. You just kind of rest your hands on top of it. But yeah, that dash being 35 feet long is it's interesting. It's not normal.
Justin, how about the steering wheel that's not actually connected to the wheels?
Fly by wire, man. That is fun with a trailer around tight spots. I tell you, the Santa Barbara Charger, I had to go around like this whole loop around this island thing, and the steering I did with my finger, and the rear steer, it got around it so easily, and then I just corrected a little bit for the trailer, and it's different. It's like the Dash. It's a different experience. And, you know, I'm trying, Sean. I'm trying to get you in the truck.
All right, I'm ready. I'm ready.
But it's like you gotta, people have to experience this truck before they completely hate on it. And I think it's something awesome. Like it was made, you know, it was actually created. But until somebody actually drives the thing, like, just keep your mouth shut, because you don't know. Like, it is something else. And some people will think I'm one of the biggest Tesla haters out there sometimes. But the truck itself it's an engineering feat of some kind. It's insane.
All right. Well, there you have it. You review from our friend Justin Gore driving the Tesla Cybertruck and towing with it.
Yeah, on 24s.
All right, Justin. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you for the
Thanks,
you review.
guys.
All right. See ya.
Have fun in
Of course.
Yosemite,
Later.
and congrats on the forthcoming baby.
No push presents. You get a kid.
Thanks, guys.
See ya. All right, later. All right, it's been a minute since we've read reviews, but if you can go to Spotify and leave us a review. Oh, can they leave us a review, or is it just giving us 5 stars on Spotify?
Spotify, you can leave questions and reviews now.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Please do it on Spotify, because that's where we're putting our energy these days. 5-star review time.
5 stars. 5 stars.
5 stars.
5
stars.
5 stars. Right back at you, brother.
I forgot.
You
I
didn't
forgot
even
what it
try?
was.
Really?
I forgot the words.
Do you want
it's
to
been
do it
so
again?
long.
Oh, here we go again. Here we go.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5
stars.
5 stars.
Right back at you, brother.
I mean, close-ish.
All right.
No, not that great. What you got?
Man, we haven't read reviews in a while, but we have this one from Freedom Chariot. Says, best truck show podcast?
Wait, with a question mark?
With a question mark.
Oh.
These two have the knowledge, know-how, and friendship that makes this truly the best truck podcast on this earth. 5 stars. P.S. Lightning, we need some Raptor parts for Banks. 5 stars. Mount those parameters. Emmy is the best.
Congratulations, you have earned 5 stars.
Monitor key engine parameters.
This one from Jeej4 says, I thoroughly enjoyed this week's episode with Simon Christie. What an interesting interview. Hearing Australia have the same issues regarding the push of full conversion to EVs when the infrastructure is not there was very eye-opening. Thanks for bringing such great guests on to discuss these issues we must all deal with. And 5 stars!
I forgot we were supposed to do the high five.
Well, let's do it again for the last one then.
Oh, yeah.
And 5 stars! All right. And we got this one from Rubicon Grill Master. Says, love the show, except my wife is annoyed that I keep buying all the stuff you guys talk about. So please continue to support our sponsors and partners at the Truck Show Podcast and leave a message on Apple and Spotify. 5 stars!
657-205-6105 is the 5-star hotline. If you'd be so kind, leave us a message, and we'll play it on an upcoming show.
The Truck Show, the Truck Show, the Truck Show, oh,
And you can follow us on socials at Truck Show Podcast, at LBC Lighting, at Sean P. Holman, or hit us up in the email truckshowpodcast@gmail.com, Holman at truckshowpodcast.com, or lighting at truckshowpodcast.com.
Is there some hot, juicy Utah action going on in your feed right now?
Yeah, as you're listening to this, go over to at Sean P. Holman, and you'll see me doing cool stuff with the Bronco Raptor.
Gotcha. And if you're listening, which of course you are, I just posted a video about every mod that I've done to the TRX. I think it's funny, and I'm hoping it doesn't come across as douchey, because the goal is to make it funny. So I'm fingers crossed. Go over to it's on my YouTube, which is Jaytillis, Jaytilles, or at LBC Lightning on the gram. Either place, it's a 60-second short. If you're curious what Mr. Lightning's done to his TRX, it's all the mods in 59 seconds. There you go.
All right, thank you to Nissan for being the presenting sponsor of the Truck Show podcast. If you're looking for an awesome body-on-frame midsize truck or body-on-frame full-size SUV, you can check out the Nissan Frontier, the Nissan Armada. Head over to nissanusa.com where you can build and price, find out all the specs and features, and even schedule a test drive at your local dealer. Or you can head on down to your local dealer and shake hands in person.
And if you're driving a Duramax-powered GM pickup, head over to bankspower.com because there is a brand new fluid cooling section. Built on the experience and battle-tested designs used in Banks' military engine program, their line of fluid cooling systems extend engine and transmission fluid life by maintaining optimal temperatures under load. Head over to bankspower.com if you've got a Duramax.
And AMSOIL has you covered with motor oil, lubricants and protectants, grease, additives, and more. If you're looking for high-quality, full synthetic lubrication for your truck, AMSOIL is a pioneer in synthetic lubricants for more than 50 years. AMSOIL.com, where you can find out everything that they make. You can find products that deliver wear protection, engine cleanliness, and fuel efficiency that conventional oils simply can't match. AMSOIL.com, AMSOIL, the first in synthetics.
And EGRUSA.com is where you head to find roll track tonneau covers, fender flares, window visors, hood guards, body side moldings, cab spoilers, sport bars, and under seat storage because, frankly, you're tired of stuff just rolling around under there. Head over to EGRUSA.com to go shopping.
Hey, with all that brake talk on this show, I'm definitely excited to get my Wilwoods on the 392 because I was had to slam on the brakes the other day, and I think my dash cam actually caught audio of that. Oh, no, that was something else.
That was your burritos for lunch.
The Truck Show podcast is a production of Truck Famous LLC. This podcast was created by Sean Holman and Jay Tillis with production elements by DJ Omar Khan. If you like what you've heard, please open your Apple Podcast or Spotify app and give us a 5-star rating. And if you're a fan, there's no better way to show your support than by patronizing our sponsors.
I'm not inviting you to Casa Bonita. Well, f*** you, Cal! I hope you die! I hope you f***ing die!